Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Dean Canona. I am greatly honored to have been asked to be here today, honored beyond belief. I proposed this morning to tell you, my fellow Terps, a bit about my journey following my graduation from Maryland almost 50 years ago in 1977, and then share with you some of the life lessons that I learned along the way. I grew up on Long Island, came from a middle-class family. Thank you, Long Island. My dad sold furniture at a department store. Mom stayed home, raised 3 kids. The plan was for me to go to one of the state schools in New York because tuition's cheaper that way. That's what we could afford as a family. But during my senior year of high school, my dad lost his job and took a new job here in the state of Maryland. So the state school I ended up attending was this great university. This was 1975, and sports marketing, which is now a multi-billion-dollar industry, was in its infancy back then. Maryland happened to have the first sports marketing department in the history of intercollegiate athletics, run by a great man by the name of Russ Potts. During my senior year, I walked in one day to ask him for a job, and he told me that they had no money to pay me, and I told him that was okay. I was willing to work for free, just for the experience and to learn sports marketing from the ground up. It turns out that this was the best decision that I ever made. It led to everything for me. My friends all told me that I was crazy working for free, that I was being used, but I saw it a bit differently. I felt like I was using them, and the truth is, of course, we were using each other. But my decision to walk into that office, to ask for a job, and to work for free is the primary reason that I had a 40-year career in the sports industry. It put me in a financial position to give back to the university by underwriting financially Maryland's Sports Management Program and gave me the wonderful life that I'm enjoying today. I learned the following important life lessons in that experience. Know that sometimes the bad things that happen to us can turn out great. My dad had lost his job. He had to move the family far away from home and away from my best friends and everything that was familiar to me. Had that not happened, my life would have turned out completely different. No one's life goes exactly according to the script that we would write for ourselves. There's a saying that man plans and God laughs. So sometimes we have to adapt to meet changing circumstances, but I can assure you from personal experience that everything that happens to us happens for the best. And I believe that totally, and it's the only way to go through life. Perfection. It doesn't exist in anything. It doesn't exist in one's job, in one's boss, in one's teacher, in one's career, in one's friends. No one's life is 100% perfect. So, when you expect perfection, perfection in one's life only serves to consign us to a life that will be filled with many disappointments. And sure as I'm standing here today, you guys will at some point face some adversity. You will at some point have some disappointment. And when it comes, and it will come, roll with it. Understand that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. Your circumstances don't define you, but how you react to them does. Sometimes the bad things that happen to us put us directly on a path to the most wonderful things that will ever happen to us. So I encourage you to see the bright side of everything, because there almost always is a bright side. Always stay positive, and always train your mind to see the good in every situation. I learned that opportunity is far more important than money, especially when you're just starting out. The opportunity to succeed, the opportunity to fail, the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to make new friends and to meet people who could mentor you and be helpful to you after college. Had I walked away when they told me they had no money to pay me at Maryland, had I listened to my friends who tried to make me feel foolish for working for free, my life would have been completely different. When I graduated from Maryland at age 22, I got a job immediately at the U.S. Air Force Academy as their first ever director of sports promotions. Then was recommended to the Pittsburgh Pirates through people that you meet along the way. They were looking to hire a director of promotions to help with their marketing and brand building. I got the job, and in the very first year, we won the World Series, and I received my first, what would eventually total 7 World Championship rings. Then, the man that I worked for free at Maryland, Russ Potts, was hired by the Chicago White Sox to be their vice president of marketing, and he hired me away from the Pirates at the age of 25 to be the number 2 guy on the marketing side, which further validated the wisdom of my decision to work for free at Maryland. I worked for the White Sox for 6 years until our owner, another great man by the name of Jerry Reinsdorf, bought the Chicago Bulls in the middle of Michael Jordan's rookie season, and named me Vice President of Marketing for the Bulls almost 4 decades ago. And I was just 31 years old at the time. So over the next 3 decades, my actual life exceeded the wildest dreams I had for myself as a little kid, and I couldn't have imagined any of it. I was just an average anonymous kid growing up on Long Island, average athlete at best, decent student, certainly nothing exceptional. I remember once my teacher pointed right at me with her ruler and said, "At the end of this ruler is an idiot." So I asked her which end and was promptly suspended. Yet, through hard work, ambition, perseverance, a little bit of luck, I was given the opportunity to be part of the Michael Jordan era and watch up close the greatest basketball player who ever lived. I received 6 more championship rings. I was given the opportunity to generate the revenue that built one of the finest indoor arenas in the world, the United Center. I was privileged to meet every president of the United States, from Gerald Ford on to the current one. I sat next to and watched basketball games with the likes of Muhammad Ali, Tom Cruise, Joe Biden, Jim Carrey, Jack Nicholson. Was given the opportunities to meet such luminaries as Joe DiMaggio, Margaret Thatcher, Colin Powell, Wayne Gretzky, Pele, Willie Mays, and Arnold Palmer. I visited the White House numerous times, traveled the world, and formed lifelong friendships and learned valuable life lessons, some of which I'll share with you now. I learned that nothing can replace hard work. I have never known anybody who was not a hard worker to begin with who could be taught to work hard. It's no mere coincidence that the hardest worker I ever saw was also the greatest basketball player who ever lived. His name was Michael Jordan, and he was relentless. The hardest working practice player I ever saw, and woe unto you if you were one of his teammates and you didn't play or practice hard. He could have been content just to get by on his sheer athletic ability, but every single summer he added another weapon to his arsenal or tried to get stronger. And it's funny how the best players and those who rise to the top in any profession, regardless of profession, that you want to name, are also almost always, without exception, the hardest workers. So work hard, work harder than the next guy, be relentless in pursuit of your dreams and goals. I learned to cherish and appreciate every moment of the journey, the triumphs, the setbacks, and even the mundane. You cannot believe how fast time goes by for you and has gone by for me. Cherish every bit of the daily struggle. Don't be so caught up in reaching the destination that you fail to appreciate that the real joy is in the journey. I learned to deal with adversity. After Jordan retired, the Bulls compiled the worst 6-year one-loss record in the history of the NBA. We won only 26% of our games, lost 74% of them. We're getting blown out every night, yet we led the entire NBA in attendance over that period. Getting knocked down in life is a given. It's going to happen. But getting up and moving forward is a choice. Through adversity, always be mindful of how blessed you are. There's an old saying, I felt sorry for myself because I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet. The glass is always half full, never half empty. I learned that it's not just important to work hard, but also to have fun while doing it. You should work hard and be focused on reaching your goals, but have fun. Just being alive is reason enough to be joyful and to celebrate every new day. Be enthusiastic, be energetic, be positive every day. I learned that competition gets stiffer the higher up the ladder you climb. It is survival of the fittest. Let your effort and a positive attitude every day separate you from the pack. Blow people away with a relentless work ethic and a joyful, positive attitude, and bring it every day. I learned the importance of surrounding yourself with people who believe in you and are only going to lift you higher. Surround yourself with those who see the greatness within you. It's not what we have in our life that matters, but rather who we have in our life that's most important. I learned to follow my dreams. The world is filled with people who were told time and time again that their dream was impossible. They chose not to listen. Follow your dreams, or you will spend the rest of your life working for someone else who did. Create the highest, grandest vision for your life, because you do become what you believe. All successful people that I've studied have one thing in common. They were big dreamers. Shoot for the stars and shoot for perfection, knowing full well that perfection can never be achieved. But in shooting for perfection, you will catch excellence along the way. And don't worry if you're not the smartest person in the room. Just be the most hungry person in the room and you'll be just fine. I learned the importance of writing down my long-term and daily goals. So put it on paper And as you accomplish each daily goal, scratch it off the list. It's a great feeling to scratch those goals off that list. Big goals are achieved by accomplishing a lot of little goals over an extended period of time. Studies show that people with written goals accomplish 10 times more than people without written goals. A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. And a plan backed by your action makes all your dreams come true. So go home tonight, write down your daily and your long-term goals. Doing so will also help to keep you organized and focused, which are two more really important keys to being successful. I learned that success is almost totally dependent upon determination and persistence. I saw a lot of really gifted athletes who on paper should have been stars in the NBA, but they never made it. Now, why is that? Well, simply put, they didn't want it bad enough. They didn't work hard enough. They had a sense of entitlement. They thought the world owed them a living. Guard against having any sense of entitlement. I learned the importance of believing in myself. You can't accomplish anything great unless you do, and if you don't believe in yourself, don't expect anyone else to. The best thing I ever did by far was to believe in me. I learned the importance of honor and integrity. Let your word be your bond. Be loyal to your friends, your coworkers, your employer, the people who are with you in good times and bad. Those are the people you need to cherish. And know that a true friend is someone who walks in when the rest of the world walks out. I learned to forgive myself for not always being perfect. I made plenty of mistakes. You will too. You're only human. We all make mistakes. Coach John Wooden said, if you're not making mistakes, you're not doing anything. So forgive yourself for the mistakes you are inevitably going to make. Know that for our entire lives, we are all merely works in progress. I learned that no matter the circumstances, never, never, never quit. Know that every champion was once just a contender who refused to give up. It's impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well have not lived at all, in which case you lose by default. Failure is a part of becoming successful. Michael Jordan said, I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I ultimately succeeded. So stay dedicated. It's not going to happen overnight. I learned about the golden rule, about doing unto others as you would have others do unto you. Be nice to people. It's nice to be important, but it's far more important to be nice. Know that everyone you meet in life is better than you at something and is your superior in some way. They say that a true test of one's character is how you treat those who can do nothing for you. Know that you will face criticism the higher up the mountain you climb. Everyone does, but keep in mind that only mediocrity escapes criticism. I learned to embrace the differences in people. It would be such a boring world if everyone was exactly the same. Every one of us has faults and oddities, but train yourself to see the light in others and treat them as if that's all you see. Cherish the originals that you meet along life's path. And if you want to stand out, you have to be willing at times to be different. March to the beat of your own drummer. In other words, be true to yourself and true to the way the good Lord made you. I learned not to be afraid of being different, but to be very afraid of being the same as everyone else. The bad news is that you're not going to fit in with everyone, but the good news is that the great ones never do. Always be yourself. The right ones will love you for it, and who cares what the wrong ones think? And like yourself. The strongest factor in becoming successful is self-esteem. Believing you can do anything, believing you deserve it, believing you'll get it. And I learned that the best things in life aren't things. You're not truly rich until you have the things that money can't buy. Things such as good health, the love and respect of others, good manners, morals, values, character, common sense, class, and integrity. And I learned the importance of giving something back. The great Jackie Robinson once said, a life is not important except for the impact it has on other people's lives. So make a positive impact on as many people's lives as you can. If you work really hard and if you're kind, amazing things will happen. Know that everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle that you know nothing about. So be kind, always. The ultimate measure of us is, 1, how we respond to adversity, and 2, how we treat those who can do absolutely nothing for us, how we treat the least among us. Understand that you are a brand. In fact, we all are. Build your personal brand through your work ethic, your positive attitude, just being a good person and a citizen. Arnold Palmer, Magic Johnson were one of the best I've ever seen at making you feel like you were the most important person in the world when they met you. They gave you a firm handshake, a smile, they looked you in the eye, And when they asked you how you were doing, you felt like they really wanted to know. It wasn't just some throwaway line. So beginning today, extend to everyone you meet all the care, kindness, understanding you can, and do so without any thought of personal reward. The great John Wooden said, "You can't live a perfect day without doing something for someone who will never be able to repay you." I learned that there are many great qualities that will determine your success in life. None of them can be measured by test scores. Your I can is of much greater importance than your IQ. Among these are compassion, generosity, motivation, persistence, humor, dependability, loyalty, patience, enthusiasm, empathy, leadership, courage, humility. None of these can be measured by test scores, but they all are essential ingredients to becoming successful. Also know that there will always be haters. The higher up the ladder of success you climb, the more of a target you will become. People will see you walk on water and they'll say it's only because you can't swim. Ignore those people. Ignore the critics. There will always be people out there who will tell you that you can't. And what you need to do is just turn around and say, watch me. An entire sea can't sink a ship unless the water gets inside the ship. Similarly, all the negativity in the world can't sink you unless you allow it to get inside you. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I learned never to complain. Nobody cares. Work harder. I learned that your greatness as a leader will be determined by how much you sacrifice for others to help them become great. Great leaders succeed because they bring out the greatness in others. Be the kind of a leader who lifts people up, who makes the people around you better, who raises people up with encouragement and your faith in them, not the kind who seems to have a need to tear people down. We rise by lifting others. So celebrate the successes, the achievements of your friends and your coworkers as you would your own. I learned that the happiness of the individual is in direct proportion to the satisfaction that one receives in being a part of the successful whole. Jordan recognized that his career would be measured and judged based not upon his individual accomplishments and statistics, but rather upon the number of championships he won. More than anything else, Michael was about winning. He learned early that there is no joy in filling the stat sheet on a losing team. True joy can only be achieved when your successes and experiences are shared with others. I learned that waking up every morning with a great attitude makes it a great day, which turns into a great month, which becomes a great year, which becomes a great life. So wake up every day with a great attitude. I learned to associate with people who inspire me, people that challenge me, people that make me better. Be a student of success. Learn everything you can from those who've been the most successful. They're successful for a reason. And be genuinely interested in other people. Know that everyone you meet, without exception, has an interesting story to tell about their journey. You can learn something from just about everyone. Now, in wrapping up, there are 3 goals that you should be focused on, in my view, achieving every day from here on out. First, you should be focused on reaching your full potential that day, whatever activity it is that you're engaged in. Second, you should provide, your second goal should be to provide a life for you and your family that makes you and them happy. And third, to make a positive impact on the world and everyone you meet, and know that whenever the end comes, you made this world a better place than it otherwise would have been had you never existed. That you left this world a better place than you found it and made a positive difference in at least one person's life. Finally, let me leave you with one of my favorite quotes from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. King said, "And when you discover what you will be in your life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it." Don't just set out to do a good job. Set out to do such a good job that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. If it falls to you to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted, like Beethoven composed music, like Pavarotti sang opera, like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will stop and say, "Here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well." Congratulations to all of you on your achievements to date. Today is both the end of one great journey, the beginning of another. My wish for each of you is that your wildest dreams will become the least of your accomplishments. And on behalf of everyone here today, we want you to know how proud we are of you, and that if all your dreams come true, all the dreams we have for you will come true as well. God bless you all. Go Terps.